So this is me currently. State of affairs, I'm working a job part-time, working full-time this month. I have to live off what's written on a whiteboard. If I don't do this, I get in trouble. I get sales, I moved up a snakes and ladders board. I have to go through call lists. And just to give you a bit of insight, this is what I've done today. No reply, and a couple completed calls. I want to mark my words, and I want this video to hold me accountable. In 3 months, I'm going to be on the other side of the world, trading full-time. Watch me do it. Alright, so approximately 44 minutes ago, I left my part-time job. Trading full-time is something that I've been really working up to for the past year, and it's finally come to the stage now where I'm in a position to take the risk, go full-time into trading, and just see where it goes. These next couple of months are going to be a really big test for me. Working the kind of job standard when I was in a position already to kind of take the risk really affected the way I worked, and I just never really felt motivated to go somewhere, to a job, to go do, you know, what you have to do at a job basically. I'm still in the uniform, as you can see, so I won't be wearing this again. But I'm just really looking forward. I've got all my goals for this month written somewhere over there. So yeah, let's see what this year holds. So this is episode 1 of the journey. I don't know what I'm going to call this series, but but yeah, I'm going to leave it there. So yeah, damn, I actually did it. I actually did it. Something, if you'd have told me a year ago I was leaving my part-time job, full-time job, I was working full-time last year, but if you'd have told me I'd have been leaving my job to go trade full-time, I'd have laughed. But it's finally here. Let's do it. Looks like we're doing this way too early for me. No lie though, I've got leg room. I've actually got leg room. Guys, welcome back to the series. So, what you've just seen there was me 4 months ago, working at my part-time job. Well, I'm gonna take a seat down here actually. It's really crazy looking back on all that footage. It feels like yesterday, which is kind of crazy to say. I've been living in Cyprus now for just shy of a month, and yeah, it's really interesting how much my life's changed within a month, just from changing my environment. The reason this intro has been like it is mainly to inspire other people. You may be someone who's, you know, currently working a job at the moment, maybe you're seeking change. You've got this dream in the back of your mind that you want to chase, you know, you've got these goals in mind that, you know, you want to chase. And I think hopefully what I've just shown you there just shows that if you are someone that's really committed to the process, and if you want this dream as bad as you say you do, and you're willing to put in the hours, willing to make the sacrifices, you know, in order to make it happen, I genuinely believe anything is possible. But yeah, it just goes to show the power of manifestation as well. You know, that video that I made in my workspace 4 months ago, you know, I told myself I wanted to make it happen, and just through hard work it happened in 3 months. And don't get me wrong, like I said, this is far from the end. You know, this is not me saying I've made it. You know, this is just the beginning of my journey. You know, I believe self-improvement, and especially the journey of a trader, is, you know, it's a never-ending kind of evolution, because, you know, along this journey there's going to be so much that I find out about myself, and I'm going to go through so many ups and so many downs, and it's just all about how you kind of rebound from that. And I feel like I've been through enough now to kind of go, you know what, if life wants to throw something at me, I'm pretty sure I can handle it. And that's just the kind of mindset you've got to have, you know, in order to progress. Like I said, if you're someone that's potentially, you know, looking to kind of make that change and seek that change, then I'm just going to tell you now, just do it. Just do it, because waiting around is not going to change anything. And just taking that action, taking that risk straight away is only going to get you to that destination quicker, as long as you've got a plan. And that's what I always say, planning is so important. For me, it was almost visualising the goal and making a set plan in order to get to that goal. And yeah, within 3 months I managed to do it. So with that being said, I don't want to ramble on too much about the start of this video. Plan of action today is I'm going to take you through my weekly review. I had a lot of questions in the previous video, a lot of DMs on Instagram about the trading journal. I think I want to cover that in another video, which will probably be the next one. After you've seen this clip, it's probably going to transition over to the weekly review, take you through the trades that I've taken this week, taking you through the kind of lessons that I've learned, and also just a bit of a summary about this week. So with that being said, I'm going to crack on, so let's get to it. Okay, so this is going to be the weekly review. This is something that I really want to get into a habit of doing, to be honest. More just to kind of give you guys a bit of a week-on-week update on how I'm progressing, and also just, again, for transparency purposes. I've been doing this since, well, it'll probably about November last year, to be honest. And then obviously I've just kind of started it fresh from 2025, going through every single week. This right here is the objectives that I'm looking to achieve as a full-time day trader. Quite simply, it's to make 8 to 10% a month, get monthly payouts or bi-weekly payouts, so every 14 days, and a constant reminder that 8% a month is 2% a week. And again, it just shows you that in this game, less is more. You know, I try not to be involved in the market when I don't need to. If, for example, I have a winning trade in London, I will turn up to New York session, but I'll be less inclined to trade just to keep hold of those profits that I've accumulated for that day, unless I see something A+. So it's a constant reminder to myself that less is more, and to make that 8% a month, I only need 2%. Which is super, super simple. And this quote down here was given to me by my mentor, and it's take the risk or lose the chance. And I have this on here, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of it, to be honest, because I feel like it's something that can just, it goes without saying that this isn't just involved in trading, this is involved in every aspect of your life. So it's a constant reminder to me that if I see my edge, I see it present itself, I either take the risk or lose the chance. When it comes to winning and losing trades, I literally have no emotion, because I simply understand that my edge is profitable long term. So if it hits take profit, that's great. If it loses, that's great, because at the end of the day, I understand over a long term basis, my strategy is profitable. So it's just a constant reminder to myself that if my edge does show, I either take the risk or I lose the chance. And hopefully you can take something away from that. Now, in terms of week 14, so on Tuesday, we had a relatively decent trade. It was a 1.5R. This was taken on an eval account. I'll kind of give you a bit of a breakdown. So this was our Asia sweep model. This is one of my most profitable models. And then also I do trade discretionally as well, which I will get into a little bit later. So you can see here that we swept the Asia high. So just showing you over here, this right here is Asia high. Asia low will be somewhere down here. A local div showing us that the market wants to go short. We also had a higher time frame div giving us a bit of an inclusion that market again wants to go short. And then obviously we displaced this gap. I waited on the return to entry, got in nicely, and then obviously price shot down to my take profit. Would normally hold this for a 1 to 2R, sorry. However, we obviously had this gap here. I wasn't too sure if we was going to displace from it. We could have just displaced lower to tap in to then go higher based on this bullish momentum. I was confident in the pullback, and I was confident that we were going to target this gap down here. We could have held it for a 2R, but it is what it is. I'm not bothered. I'm just going to take what I can, especially from market conditions like this. They weren't the best, but regardless, our edge is profitable in these market conditions, and obviously it's a flexible approach to the market as well. So it's not like a very strict way of trading. It's flexible, it's adaptable in all market conditions, and with a trade like this, I'm going to be taking this every single time. So yeah, just to take you through the confluences. So it was the Asia high that was swept. ES was moving in sync, 3-minute gap place displaced, and we had the local div. Clean price action going into London, relatively textbook play. Usually we'd aim for a 1 to 2, but however the gap, obviously I've already explained this, which is fine. Momentum was nice, and ES looked like it wanted to push lower. So again, we use ES and NQ together, and we use ES as more of a tool to understand where the market's likely to go. ES was looking very weak. Obviously, we created the div as well. I was very confident in a nice push lower. So my mentor didn't actually take this trade. However, based on obviously what I've accumulated in terms of data, and I've also, seen plays like this time and time again play out, I was relatively happy. Maybe keen on wasn't the right words to use, because I imagine he'd look at this and go, yeah, that was a valid play. He's probably a lot more risk averse than me, so he's obviously going to take the better setups. However, I was relatively happy with this setup. Yeah, I'm pretty glad that I took it. And then coming on to Wednesday, so this was a bit of an interesting trade. So this was more of a continuation play. This was a break-even trade based on these confluences here. So we had a bearish local div, as you can see here. Let me just zoom in on there. So we had the bearish div here. Displaced the same gap as ES, so we obviously had this incision of volume, created this gap, and then obviously we inversed it. As soon as we inversed it, I got off the return to entry. I was
just targeting a 1 to 2. I did set a break even at a 1 to 1 here, and then obviously I've just been stopped out at break even, and it was nice momentum, and it was an overall bearish sentiment. You can see here that we were just continuously going bearish. However, when I've entered the market, you can see here that we started to stall a little bit. Now, what I noticed is after I took this trade, 9 AM open candle, which was this one, obviously manipulated higher, taking out all of these highs and then continued lower. This again was kind of a poor decision for me. When I zoomed out, I ended up realizing the kind of issue. So I can show you on here. This was the range that we were playing with. So obviously this line shows us discount and it shows us premium. I am currently shorting in discount, which is likely, it's not something you ideally want to do. And then also this was an hourly gap. So you can see here, start of the gap, finish of the gap. We came in to fill it, and pretty much at the end of the gap, I got involved. And you can see here, which is where we got involved within this wick here, was very choppy. Obviously 9 AM has opened here, we've manipulated higher. Obviously this would have hit my stop loss and then continued lower. So it was just unfortunate. If we waited for the 9 AM open, we could have maybe got involved, obviously literally as soon as price opened, and then obviously prices shut down. In terms of the actual breakdown that I put for it, so it was now I made the mistake of entering too late in terms of the range. Obviously we've talked about getting involved a little bit too late. As you can see, we're shorting against the following. We're in discount, we're at the edge of the 1 hour gap, and it was close to the 9 AM. And obviously you can expect the 9 AM candle to have just a little bit of volume, so you're likely to be manipulated out if you're on the wrong side of the market. As soon as I hit break even, 9 AM opened a few minutes later, strong bullish candle to open, taking the highs, and then continuing lower. Idea was correct, just the timing of the trade was poor. So this is the final review, kind of summary of this week. Finishing the week in a decent spot. I'm 1.5R up on my evals. 1 trade off a payout with my funded futures, depending on the consistency rule. So maybe like 1 or 2 trades. Apex accounts are still a 0.5% drawdown. Not worried as I'm taking the best setup with these accounts. So long term, these will be in a good position. Mindset, I'm feeling more and more confident taking my own trades. However, I'm being extra cautious coming into next week. With a massive sell-off on Friday, I'm unsure on how these conditions will be for an A+ setup. Having a look at this was Friday open, and we've ended up selling off 7%. So I'm kind of unsure on how the markets are going to move. I think Monday most likely will probably be a no trade day for me. Get a little bit of momentum, get a little bit of a sentiment to see how the week's looking, and just get some price action prior to me trading, just so I can get a bit of an understanding on how we're moving, because I'm expecting for it to be relatively choppy. But I think next week will be a very good test in patience. Overall takeaways for this week. So this was recommended to me by my very good friend Chris, which was use a loop timer. As far as I'm concerned, the loop timer is every 5 minutes, zoom out and check the higher time frames to keep yourself in check. This would have saved us a break-even trade and potentially would have got me a winning trade. But obviously that's all hindsight. I can't predict what's going to happen. What happened happened. So a loop timer is essentially where you set a timer every 5 minutes, so it will make a beep sound, and that's just a reminder for you to zoom out, check the higher time frames, consistently remind yourself, get that conviction of where the overall price is headed, and then obviously zoom into the lower time frames, because it can be very easy to kind of get sucked into the lower time frames without conviction from the higher time frames. And then also risk management has been key. It's been managed very well in my opinion, and patience is paying slowly. Again, this is more just a reminder to myself that less is more. Being involved less is going to be so much more profitable in the long term. So that is going to be the end of this video. That is the review of the week done. If you press the link down below, it will take you to my link tree. Well, it'll take me to your YouTube bio, then it'll take you to a link tree. You'll be able to find the Discord server there. It's run by myself, one of my very good friends Chris, and also my mentor Todd. Obviously I've been working with Todd since November. Since then, month on month, I've been profitable. We obviously partnered up, and he is extremely knowledgeable within the trading space. And if it wasn't for him, and obviously, the community around him as well, obviously the community that we've created, I would literally not be here today. So massive shout out to him. And obviously, like I said, you can check the link out in the bio. Obviously, if you guys have got any questions, feel free to fire them away in the comment section, or drop me a message on Instagram, whichever you want to do. But yeah, like I said, if you want to go check that out, feel free to do so. It's completely free, by the way, so you guys can go check that out. But with that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.